Hello, my name is John Brooks. Filmmaker, musician, book author, conservationist, climate advocate, politician, and retired federal agent. Why, you may ask, did I choose to do all these things in my life? Could I not make up my mind on who I wanted to be? Or perhaps I believe that life is too short to do just one thing, live one reality. We can all hear it, see it, feel it, that symphony of music that lies within each and every one of us. Some of us, a few of us, have been fortunate to share what we hear inside with others through mechanical and/or digital means. And yet, a great majority of us, I would argue, want to share what we feel, what we hear inside our minds, but have not been given the means or perhaps been given the opportunity to share our thoughts. The music industry has always been about control, controlling what you hear and who you hear it from, partly due to the financial control of the art, but also the control of the medium. Music, on the other hand, has always been about sharing and communication. As we make our way towards Web 3.0, the Metaverse, there are a few things I believe are important to keep in mind. Equality is a concept that does not exist in reality. Going to Mars may prove to be a welcome escape from the damages we have caused our living environment, but the majority of us will not have a seat on the good ship Lollipop. Thus, the Metaverse should be viewed as a supplement to the world we live in, but not a replacement. It is to our collective advantage to correct the ills we have created in this world before moving on to the next, virtual or otherwise. A changed reality open to the possibilities that can exist in our reality as well in an augmented reality. In an augmented reality, we have the ability to create a level playing field. With open access to virtual tools available, creators will be able to express themselves in ways that could not have been possibly imagined a few years hence. Virtual travel can potentially open the minds of young creators, allowing them to collaborate with anyone, anywhere, at any time. Spirits can be lifted and new voices can be heard. As humans, we only use a fraction of our potential brain power. You don't know what you don't know means just that. The sky's the limit for what we can create for the collective good. Music is the universal language. And like education, it can be the great equalizer that allows us to understand one another. The Metaverse can act as a bridge in our understanding, communication, and growth. But at what cost? Everything comes at a price. More on that in a moment, but first, a question or two. What do you consider to be music? Or for that matter, what is music? In the 1970s, a company put out a series of albums entitled Environments, 30 minutes or so of sounds, environmental sounds, the sounds made by the ocean as its waves crashed on the shore, the sounds of an old-growth forest, an inland river, thunderstorms, and even monks chanting Om. Would you consider this to be music? I did. I would listen to these recordings for hours in my university dorm room for inspiration, unable to connect with the real world due to the lack of transportation, the lack of time, and the lack of cash. I was able to escape into these realities through my imagination, providing my brain with a temporary relief from the vigors of reviewing lecture notes. The world was a smaller place, larger than at the turn of the century, but still quite smaller by today's standards. Not everyone had the opportunity to see an ocean or visit a forest. To experience phenomenons as a young adult is a vastly different experience than how you would process that same phenomenon as a child. Because up to age, let's say 7, we are merely storing information fed to us in our brains and don't really know who we are or who we want to be. We've been able to process the things we see, feel, smell, and touch, and this is where inequality becomes an important part of human society. Access. One could argue that humans, as a species, may have been better off living in small family groups rather than large societies. In a large society, health, wealth, education, and the opportunity to grow, realizing your fullest potential, are not equally distributed. Where a person is born and to what family can make a huge impact on a child's development, limiting or accelerating that person's ability to contribute to society in a meaningful way. Similarly, the teachers and allies we have available to us during our formidable years could also greatly influence our development in life. The The world may have never known the joy of Stevie Wonder if Ronnie White of the Miracles did not take the time to hear this young boy sing on the street. Singer Hank Williams may not have had the opportunity to influence country and Western music if not for the blues guitar teacher Rufus T-Tot Payne. What other talented musicians throughout the world have we not been introduced to, stemming from the lack of introduction or opportunity? I recall vividly the music industry doing their best to control the spread of rock and roll and to silence the voice of hip-hop. Will the metaverse encounter similar roadblocks for creatives? By better understanding the rules in this reality, we will be able to create a more idealistic environment in the metaverse. Yes, I said idealistic. What better environment to be an idealist in than in a virtual world? A place where the same rules that govern our reality need not apply. A place where a person should have the opportunity for free expression, limited only by the imagination. The trick is being able to let go, collectively, of our fear of loss that keeps us constrained in our current environment. Web 3.0 can provide us with the opportunity to do things the right way without being afraid of putting our livelihood at risk. In doing so, it is possible we may learn that equality can be achieved and resources can be shared. Valuable information we can then bring back into our own world, taking into account the totality of all circumstances. One of the greatest failures of humanity in our current era is not taking into account the consequences of our actions. Whether it be putting off the consequences of not adequately providing our children with a quality education, or not dealing with the effects of climate change until 40 years after we were aware that we were creating a problem. Short-term growth does not equal long-term stability. It never has. Earlier I mentioned the metaverse has the ability to level the playing field. This is particularly true in the field of music. Tech opened up our ability as musicians to reach an audience that, prior to personal home recording and the internet, was not available. If you did not have a recording contract, you most likely were not going anywhere in the business. The metaverse, among other things, has the potential to allow you, the fan, to travel to see your favorite artists in a virtual concert, eliminating travel costs, lodging costs, increasing your safety, reducing your carbon footprint. If you're local to the artist, by all means, you should experience the artist in the real world. Using the metaverse as a supplement and equalizer rather than a replacement helps all of us. Which brings me back to my at what cost statement. I think if not treated as a supplemental tool, the metaverse could be used as an escape from reality, even for creators. I don't have a crystal ball, and as I said before, we don't know what we don't know. But what we do know is humans have the ability to use certain tools as an escape from reality. Whether it's drugs, sports, gambling, or sex, external pleasure can provide only a temporary relief from your unwanted reality. You can be your best you in the metaverse. Bringing that person back here will complete the circle. Making the metaverse available to all can only benefit humanity. 10 years from now, we may look back on clips such as this one while we sit in a 3D virtual world connected to others, but also connected to our ventilators in the real world. We will recount to our children how humans used to gather socially and in person at bars, taverns, and clubs to enjoy live music, food, and drink, but more importantly, the company of real people. We are at the precipice of life as we know it, both environmentally and technologically. The choices we make now will have far-reaching and lasting consequences for our future. Don't let the music die.